I had a question on my channel about Bossa Nova. How's it all put together? How does it work? How do the rhythms work? What makes it that sort of infectious, sort of Portuguese, summery kind of sound? Well, with the help of GarageBand for iOS, I'm going to show you and walk through The Girl from Ipanema, which is a fantastic tune recorded in 1964 and sung by Astrud Gilberto. It epitomises everything about the genre. Let's have a look. So I'm going to open up a new track on GarageBand, so just the little plus symbol will give me my usual sort of set of choices, drums, bass and guitars and all of that sort of thing. I'm going to start with the percussion because actually this is where it really ramps up. This is where you've got so many things that determine that genre. So finding drummer, there we are. I'm going to opt for the percussion instrument first. So just clicking on percussion, you get a really sort of Latin-y vibe just by pressing play. Now I'm going to slow the tempo down a little. The tune is a bit slower than that. So what we got at the moment, 95. Let's try kind of 82 or something like that. See what happens with that. Young and lovely, a little bit slower still. Let's try sort of 76 or something. 74. Let's do that. Yeah, that's got that sort of space that you need for that sort of rhythmical expression and the phrasing that because it's really important. The key is D flat major. You think, oh, really? How does that work? Well, the original is in D flat, so I'm going to talk about it in the original key because actually it's always best to do this. It means you can play along with the original, for example, if you want to improvise. And you've got a classic backing track in the shape of the original tune. So I'm going to just have a little listen to the percussion, just to make sure that the tempo is right. And young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, each one she passes goes ah. I was able to pull the tempo about and get the words out without rushing. So now I've got that, I'm going to go back to my little brick wall symbol here. Now ideally, I need a 32 bar sequence because that's how long the tune is with the chords and the bass line. So I'm going to set that first of all to 32 bars. Can be a little bit fierce. There we go, 32 bars. Now, next I'm going to record just a kick drum and a snare drum just to underpin that percussion. So I'm going to click my plus symbol, go to drums. Here we are, acoustic drums. Now I'm going to talk about claves in a minute, but I'm going to do it after I've just recorded these drums. So here we go, I'm just going to record 4 bars or something. Okay, that'll do. 1 or 2 little mishits there. I'm going to quantize the drums to make sure everything is to 16th notes. So that's the little sliders, settings, quantization, straight 16th note. There we are. It defaults to this if you haven't recorded any drums. It says, yeah, everything's a 16th. Of course, you can undo that. You can switch it to off if you like the fact that the quantization could be a bit lazy. This is all good. This just humanises that record. So what I need to do is to find the end of that drum loop, which I think is bar 15. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to open up the page slightly just to make sure that I can cut at exactly that bar line, because I want to loop my drums. So split, scissors across, get rid of that, and loop this. So I've got a complete 32 bar sequence in terms of the drums and the percussion. Now, next up is the bass. I need to record the bass line for the entire thing. Now, you can either, if you're a bass player, you can use the fretboard on the GarageBand, which is fantastic, very responsive, or you could use a keyboard that's connected. So if I just get the bass notes, there we are. We'll do it on this or on the fretboard. I'm going to use the fretboard because actually it's a really tactile way of getting something down. So Here comes the entire 32 bar sequence, and you think, oh, it wanders about a bit. Well, yes, it does. The harmony is really complicated, but fantastic. It's such a beautifully written tune. Here we go with the bass line. Okay, so there's my entire 32 bar sequence. Now I was going to talk about claves just briefly before we move on, because actually rhythmically it's very important. Now in Latin music like this, you have what are called 2-3 claves or 3-2 claves, and actually it's present in the percussion here anyway. If you have the beat that does this, we have a 2-3 and a 3-2. So 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3, or it's 3 and 2. 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. So you have all of these things in place that really bring that genre out. Now if I just go back to my main window, I'm going to just make sure that my bass line is quantized to 1/16 notes. I just need it to be accurate for the purposes of this demonstration, although of course you'd want to have the fluidity, that human feel, if you can. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning. You can hear it with the wood block. You can hear those rhythms. So I'm going to select an electric piano now to put the chords down. So I'll just find my keyboard sounds, more sounds, electric piano. There we are. And you can use the on-screen keyboard. However, it's always nice to have a little controller keyboard if you can get one. You can get really small ones, things like the Akai LPK25, really good idea. If you've got a digital piano, sure, you can use the USB output. If you've got a MIDI keyboard, with a few extra bits and pieces, you can make the keyboard and the iPad talk to each other. However, I'm going to put down the chords. Now I'm going to talk about the chords very briefly. We're in the key of D flat major. Now the D flat major scale has D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C and D flat. And of course you can do as many octaves as you like. The first chord is D flat major 7. Yes, it's a bit of a baptism of fire if you're new to your chords, but it's all it all makes sense musically after a while. So D flat. D flat major 7 is made up of the first, the third, the fifth and the seventh of that D flat major scale. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. The next chord is E flat 7. E flat, G, B flat and D flat. You can see all these on your screen as well, so that you can see all of the chords and the notes that make them up. Then we've got E flat minor 7, all black notes, E flat, G flat, B flat and D flat. Then we have A flat 7. Now I'm going to play this slightly differently. I'm not going to put the A flat in my thumb because I want some chord inversions as we go through, which means that I want the chords not to do this, but rather to do this. That's kind of, if you were to summarize a book of J.S. Bach music theory in one sentence, it would be that. Everything has to do this rather than this. So, A flat 7, I can actually play like this. E flat, G flat, A flat and C. Now the chords in the middle, I'm going to go through, I'm going to record this and you will see what each chord is called and also what notes are contained within that chord. There's two versions, the main what's called root position and then the inversion that I'm going to use. So there are two bits of information there. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and record the entire 32 bar chord sequence. Okay, so there's quite a lot happening there. Some of the chords, for example, the first chord that I played, the D flat major 7, I can actually take my thumb from the D flat and, well, actually move the D flat up an octave. So I end up with this. That's quite crunchy, but you could do it again, put the F at the top, keep the other notes where they were. You can also do that a third time. If you do it a fourth time, you get back to where you were, but an octave up. So you can make a rhythmic feature out of this. You could go. You could do all of those sort of things where you're actually playing the chords against the rhythm, and also sometimes you can change the notes within them. You know, one thing at a time, and sometimes especially if you're improvising, you don't want the chords to be too busy. You'd maybe have something like this. So you've got just the chords in the left hand and then a few things in the right hand. Now, I have major brain surgery on my side here, so my cognition is really slow at the moment. I've got cancer, get rid of that. 2026, my year. Yeah, so the year I'll get rid of it. Now, what I've got here is the D flat major 7. Yeah, just finding it is there we are. But my right hand is unaffected, luckily. Now I could use bits of my D flat major scale. There are a few notes that are a little bit problematic. For example, that one, the 4th. I could sharpen it. So I could have a sharpened 4th. Now, for the guitarist mostly, I'm going to go to guitar in a minute and show you a bit about the improvising. Piano-wise, it's a bit more theory-based because that's kind of how the piano works versus the guitar to a certain extent anyway. So I'm going to just play a little line using the D flat major scale, but with that sharpened 4th as well, the G. Now, where the chord sequence goes in the middle section, it really does wander right around the houses. But when you see this again through, you'll see the notes that you can use and the scale that works with each chord. It's worth sort of pausing and then having another go. There's quite a lot happening at once here, but really the main thing is to have fun with it and remember the real things that make music up. Expression, phrasing, dynamics. It's all the stuff that you can't read off a bit of paper. You know, that's digital information, whereas analog, the human information. Something like that makes much more sense than sort of... it's not really showing you anything. It's not really showing your listener anything apart from perhaps annoying them slightly. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to record something. I'm just going to play something back. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my main window and I'm going to have an acoustic piano instead so that you can hear the classical grand. Here we go. So it's just a little bit more biting over that Rhodes. Here we go. Okay, yes, there's quite a few things going on there. Now, if I was going to transfer to guitar with this, guitarists amongst you, you can actually, I mean, you know, you can play pentatonics for a lot of it. And of course, with guitar, you've got this added thing of vibrato or slides or whatever it happens to be. So actually, with D flat major 7, now, as you see the chords for guitarists, you can also see the chords written out in terms of a tablature. So from 6th string to 1st string with the frets, and X means don't play the string. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and do a little bit of improvising on the F minor pentatonic. Guitarists, as a good way of slowing you down is to actually play with no plectrum. Just means you can enjoy the gaps and the phrasing much better rather than with sort of sweet picking stuff. So I'm going to play something, I'm going to play you out. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe to my channel and click the alarm bell to be notified of more videos. So I'm going to play a little guitar solo just for you using just an F minor pentatonic. There will be, however, little alterations where it goes round the houses in those middle chords. Thank you very much for watching.